Probably like many of you out there, I had a horrible experience learning some French in high school. I graduated, I learned a few more Romance languages, but this time on my own, and then I went back to French feeling like I was starting from zero. Fast forward to today, I have reached a B2 in French, and I'm going to give you the exact plan and resources that you need to reach B1 in French in 3 months and hopefully get there faster than I did. Let's look at our presentation. So before we get to our actual plan, let's go to what base resources we need. And why are base resources so important in the first place? Well, they provide us as solo learners a structure to follow to make sure we are learning the vocabulary, the grammar, etc. in a logical way. And we are on a timeline, given that you're watching this video, so we want to limit distractions and overwhelm with resources. And the base resources that I recommend on this page, I have all personally used and can vouch for. With the U Montreal X course, which is on edx.org, and it takes anywhere, if you're starting completely from zero with French, about 20 to 25 hours to finish. Personally, the pronunciation in this course isn't as up to par as what you're going to find on this website for the IPA chart for really getting French pronunciation down. I really encourage you, especially as a complete beginner, to start with pronunciation and getting it right and starting to mimic it from the start. Literally going through this list, mimicking what you hear, maybe doing all of the exercises that are provided by U Montreal X in the course, but really trying to supplement too once you're done with that with the IP chart. It is really going to help you stop you from preventing some bad habits with pronunciation like I did if you start with pronunciation early, because EDX only goes up to A1 level here. The next thing that you can do is use the A2 course from JKL on YouTube. It is made up of 49 videos, and up until video 37, they are approximately 30 to 40 minutes, and then the length really varies with all of them. But they are really useful, especially if you like to have a teacher writing on the board for you, especially for visual learners. And it really does cover all of your bases for the grammar and vocabulary knowledge that you need. If you are interested in the topic of studying in France using what Coursera.org provides, which is the Étudier en France course for B1 to B2, takes 10 hours per week over 5 weeks-ish total. Okay. Now, if you are not finding that this topic, Étudier en France, is relevant for you, I highly suggest you either go to the B1 course made by the same creator, JKL, or you can also try out the B1/B2 grammar course under French School TV. And this one is what I really highly suggest, just because each lesson is about 1 hour each, and it really does feel like a class. And they're completely free, again, very comprehensive, and I really like the instructor's energy personally. And about 27 videos, so you could get through it in about a month. Even with JKL, I believe they also have a A1 course. French School TV also has an A1 course and an A2 course, but they aren't as comprehensive as the B1 to B2 grammar course that they made is. But JKL has pretty comprehensive lessons for whatever level that you would like. So you can mix and match these, but this is kind of the flow that I went with when I was just learning French on my own. The next thing we would want to do is look up any sort of supplemental resources. We often think that we do have to buy like all of the books for fear of missing out or just having shiny object syndrome, right? But the truth is, pretty much all of the resources you're going to find for French are going to teach you the same thing. It's just a matter of that, like the way that they relay the same information to you is going to be slightly different, right? So start with one at a time. I really like the Complete French series from Teach Yourself, as well as the Living Language French series. I've tried both of them. They're really good. I also really recommend the website Le Point du Filet, which has some great supplemental exercises, so you can really drill down any sort of extra vocabulary or practice any sort of grammar points that you need more help with. And if you do like to write by hand, which I always recommend if you feel like you can fit it into your schedule, then Practice Makes Perfect workbooks, like the physical copies, are really good. Again, Supplemental resources are optional, but I do recommend you have at least a few of them. By the way, if you do feel like you freeze up when you're trying to speak French or actually any other language, then I made a free training that shows you exactly how to fix that in just 3 minutes a day. So make sure you sign up as well for that in the comments below, along with a free consistency tracker to track your progress as you go through this French routine. Now, before we get into starting this actual blueprint, I want you to decide your overall goals for French, okay? So what do you want to be able to do in French at the end of these 3 months? And to make sure that we are standardizing a bit what I mean by B1, we are looking at the European framework for languages and how they defined it. Feel free to pause the video here so you can read the full definition. And after reading, think about the overall goal that you want to be able to do. How do you practically want to apply your skills at B1 in French that will prove to you that you have reached around a B1 in French, right? Because unless we are aiming to take the official language exam for French, we won't have that sort of like standardized way of knowing and saying, hey, I reached a B1, right? And just saying you reached a B1 without taking any sort of exam feels too vague. So we really want to get solid with what we, which skill or what goal we want to be able to accomplish at B1 by the end of this. Now I'm immediately thinking about how this overall goal could apply to your speaking goal, right? What do you want to speak about and with who, when, where, why? But if your overall goal has to do more with writing, reading, or listening, also totally valid, then make sure you can write about the topics above from the definition. Even with errors, it is still a great feat, okay? To make sure you can comprehend the main points of anything you read or listen to at around, the B1 topics, podcasts, graded readers if you're into more of that, etc. Moving into month 1. Now you can follow the recommended pace of U Montreal X on EDX if you're using that. Again, 4 to 5 hours per week for 4 to 5 weeks. If you're using your own A1 based resource, make sure you determine the full time it takes approximately to finish it. And then you divide it over the period you'd like to finish it in. Example, video course takes 30 hours to finish. You want to finish it in 1 month. Then you set aside about 1 hour per day just to do the course. If you are using a textbook and there's really no time marker, then I would review the material in each chapter before actually going through in that textbook and assign, by the looks of it, an approximate time that you estimate just finishing each chapter or each section. It's less precise this way since you're going to have to do lots of experimentation, right? Because some topics and chapters are going to take naturally more time or less time than you observe just by looking at it. But after about a week or two, you're going to get the hang of your how your own pace feels, basically, and can adjust the time you need to dedicate as necessary, just based on the window of time that you want to achieve sort of that A1 level of knowledge. Make sure you are adding additional review on top of what you are already working on in your A1 based resource. And I want to set a reminder to you guys, because I know what it feels like to have ambitious goals. It is okay if you only have like 30 minutes to 1 hour per day, or if you only have a few days out of your week, right? And you can't do something every day. It might take you, 2 months to finish a A1 level in French. It might take you 6 months instead of 3 months to reach a B1 in French, okay? That is okay too. You do what works best for your life season so you don't burn yourself out or make you feel guilty for going at a more relaxed pace. Really the best decision and the quote unquote best, most strategic thing to do is do what is sustainable for you. So more relaxed pace, I totally understand and support you with. It is okay to do so. For month 2, if you are following the pace of 3 months French B1, then you're gonna aim to have finished any A1 based resource material, and then at the start of month 2, start any A2 based resource material at the beginning. So you're gonna, again, use any additional review time sessions to review any weak points you noticed working through A1 and as you're working through A2 based resources. So that could be any sort of grammar or vocabulary or other structures you keep forgetting, or structures that you are familiar with but you just feel like you need more confidence using. If you want to work more on speaking, this is where I'd add more of a conversation lesson. If you want to work more on writing and have your overall goal have to do with that, you can see my video for how to master writing in any language above. That is beginner friendly. And if you want to work on listening or reading, add other resources like podcasts or graded reader novels, etc., then I do recommend my French resources video to be able to just have a starting point for finding what kind of input that you like and where you could look further with. I do recommend to increase your study time to about 2 hours, given give or take whatever your base resource is, especially if you're not using the same base resource that I recommended, okay? Because really, remember, our goal is to finish our A2 base resource by the end of this. So you have to edit and adjust it to fit your own schedule, but you also have to adjust it for your time and energy. Don't be surprised if you have to, as you're implementing this, adjust as you go, really, right? Because life can be predictable sometimes as well, and so can energy. So don't shame yourself for it. Neither is it an obligation for anyone to need or necessarily want to reach B1 in French in 3 months. So it's okay to take the pressure off of yourself. I'm just giving you the sort of guide to be able to do it if you want to do it. For month 3, we're going to increase speaking to 2 times per week, especially if your overall goal has to do with producing the language. First goal is to finish our B1 base resource, whatever that was for you. And our second goal would be to hit the overall goal that will make you more confident in being able to practically apply your skills at B1, whatever you chose for yourself. So for example, if I say that I had a speaking goal, I want to, by the end of these 3 months, have a 30-minute French conversation class only in French. And I want to be able to talk about travel and my opinions about it and where I would like to go in the future, right? That's around a B1 topic anyways. So being able to reproduce that and stay in French, even with errors, that would be a total win for me. So even as you're thinking about the criteria for what determines you having hit your overall goal, right? We're not robots. So make sure that even though we are setting probably ambitious goals for ourselves, that we are gentle in our approach and understanding of the time and energy that we've been putting into this, or any of the mental, emotional roadblocks that we might be facing as we start learning a language, because those will slow you down too. Believe me, I've been there, especially with French. So we're really not aiming with perfection. But what I would do, especially with a speaking goal, is did I make myself understood for the majority of the lesson? That would be a win. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And in this case, even though you can reach B1 in 3 months in French, does not mean you actually should. It is recommended that you take language learning at your own pace. That is always going to be the better decision. Even though I know you guys enjoy these kinds of videos for doing things in 3 months, I find that sometimes we do have a bit of an obsession with that kind of number, like 90 days or 3 months, etc. Again, life is going to keep lifing, whether we like it or not. Our energy is going to change. We are going to keep on changing, and we do have outside priorities as any sort of multi-passionate adults who also have language learning as a side thing, a side passion do. So it is okay if you feel like as you are implementing this, you start to fall off, right? I think it's important to investigate, right? Why did I fall off? But answering that with automatic guilt and saying you haven't been productive enough or etc., right? I always recommend you understanding and just putting on a sort of like scientist glasses and being able to practice observing your language learning through a neutral lens as you gather quote unquote data about it, right? And asking yourself those questions of, well, why didn't I get to this goal in the first place that I wanted to, right? How do I need to edit my overall goal so that it fits more of my lifestyle and my energy and time restraints, because we all have them, language learners. But I do hope that even if you want to learn French, but maybe not necessarily rush yourself into the 3 months sort of timeline, I hope that this video gives you more, inspiration for how you can create your own routine with French and start to make it enjoyable and sustainable for yourself. Again, I love to coach language learners on this kind of thing. So make sure to sign up in the comments below if you are interested in learning more. Other than that, I'll catch you in another video very soon.